Nice here. Brooks were underway. Tennessee in white. Ole Miss in red.
Ole Miss has to be extremely solid on the offensive end. Do not let Tennessee get this crowd involved early with any turnovers or errant shots.
Misfiring on the first possession is Ruffin. You look at the Tennessee starting five, and again, a full complement of players. Everybody battling attrition these days in college basketball. Tennessee finally has all of its weapons.
Yeah, movement on offense is good for Tennessee. Keep an eye also on Ole Miss on the defensive end. It will change up the way they play defense. They'll play a lot of zone. They'll switch man. They will try to confuse Chandler a little bit to see if he can get his team in an offensive set.
John, how much do you expect Ole Miss to miss Jarkel Joyner, their top scorer?
Well, you miss the nearly 15 points a ball game he's given them. This is a team that has struggled shooting the ball in the last couple of ball games. So without Joyner, someone else has to step up. They've got to make open shots when they get it.
Would have been Joyner's 97th career start. He can't go. He's got a back injury. Hope to have him back soon. Meanwhile, a scrum near the baseline, a jump ball on the possession arrow. We don't have a possession arrow on the screen, but I'm sure it's going to go some way. There we go. There's the possession arrow. Tennessee. That little P under the Tennessee part of the bug.
So it looks like a 2-3 zone matched up out of the underneath out of bounds.
Fulkerson working high post. Bellied up by the 7-footer Brooks. And a block foul called on Brooks. I talked about how old Fulkerson is. Well, nice here. Brooks has got him beat. He is actually 25 years old already. He's the 6th oldest player in all of college basketball.
One of the better defenders on this Rebel squad. That'll be a good matchup. You saw where they did not double team when Fulke caught the ball inside. They let Brooks maintain his space and man. They'll play a lot more zone, there's no doubt, because they're down a number of bodies tonight, not just Jarkel Joyner.
Fulkerson again. Double team. And he turns it over. The steal by Ruffin. Blazing into front court. Sets up a teammate on a three. It's Morrell. An offensive rebound of the Rebels.
Ole Miss has great energy early. And what has plagued them in a number of ball games is perimeter shooting.
Coming in shooting just 43 from the field and 31 from downtown, and that time nowhere as the shot clock just ticks down. They don't get a shot off. There is Rick Barnes. He believes this is one of the better teams that he has had. He's had some good ones at Tennessee. 7th year now with the Volunteers. They've become a virtual lock for the NCAA tournament seemingly every year since he got this program going.
Well, great depth in this team. Not only out front, but they've got enough big guys that can come in, play solid minutes. He requires heavy defense and rebound, right? And then if you can do that, you'll play for him. But they've got a number of options. They've had a couple ball games where they've not shot the ball well, which most teams have had those, and that's when they lose the basketball. They've expanded their offense to shoot a lot more threes this season. And so when you do that, you're going to have nights where you miss enough shots. And whether you play at Texas Tech, which was just a grind-em-out game, or even the game at Alabama, you're playing well, but maybe ill-advised shots down the stretch, and you lose that game.
Another tie-up. This time the possession arrow to Ole Miss. Still scoreless. 2.5 minutes into the action in Knoxville.
Chandler's got to be disciplined on Chandler's got to be disciplined on defense against Ruffin. Ruffin can go by most guys with his bounce.
Air ball three for Ruffin. A rough go of it for both teams offensively here to start this game.
I hope we get a bucket partner before the first time out.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Fulkerson, no. Rebound to the Rebels. Is this where we praise the great defense?
Well, it's been okay. You know what? Someone's got to make a shot. Someone make a play on the offensive end. There you go.
Turnover.
Conference games, Mike, they've started. They've had great battles, and I mean, conference games are hard to play in.
Yes, they are. How about a three? Both teams have combined now 0 for 7 and 4 turnovers. Fulkerson trying to find Vescovy on the back door, wasn't there. Shot clock down to 5. Inside, stolen away, bad pass, quick hands by Brakefield. Brakefield, the transfer from Duke.
Neither team shooting well in the turnovers, but neither team have been able to capitalize on the turnovers and push to the other end simply because other teams, they're so well coached, they get back defensively.
John Sundvold, you and I have done a lot of games together. I don't know if we've ever made the media timeout without a single point. More points to come, we promise. Coming up. Three-point shot, 52-50. Sonny, we might be on our way to another game in the low 50s if this pace continues. You see 11 turnovers in the second half last year. Ole Miss 30 points in the paint. That's one thing that Kermit Davis' squads ordinarily do is get a lot of offensive rebounds and stickbacks. Devontae Shore, by the way, now playing for your Capital City Go-Go of the G League if you're scoring at home. And if you're scoring at home, you didn't have much to fill out.
Yeah, Kermit will be happy because he wants this game in a half court, right? He doesn't want it up and down where Tennessee can get the whole crowd involved. So far, they'll like the pace. They just want to score a bucket. Finally got one, and we're on the board.
On the board, partner. We got ourselves a bucket. That's Morrell in his first basket. Matthew Morrell's going to have to pick up some of that scoring load as well. He's averaging 7 points a game. He had a career high 19 in the win against Memphis. Vescovy misses, gets his own rebound, and then turns it over. Throwing it into the hands of Ruffin. Here comes Ruffin all the way. Ruffin, hoping the harm. 3-point play the hard way for the talented freshman.
Yeah, well done. Talking to Kermit again this morning about what a talent Ruffin is. Off the bounce. One of the things you learn as a freshman, and Chandler's learning the same things, when to go, when not to go, when to hit teammates. And again, this is only the 5th ball game that Ruffin has played because of injuries. Had a knee injury in the summer, had a hand injury. He's a tough guy to stay in front of.
First McDonald's All-American in school history. Hometown product out of Jackson, Mississippi. Callaway High School. It's 5-0 Ole Miss.
And they'll stay in that zone. The teammates buckets. They went to zone defense almost with 3-2. They'll stay close to the shooters. Powell is one, number 24. They stayed close to it.
Tennessee is now 0 for 5 from the field. In all seriousness, both these teams, two of the better ones defensively. Tennessee is playing maybe the best defense of the Rick Barnes era in Knoxville. The only team statistically better in the SEC would be LSU. Picked up a nice win on Dale Brown night in Baton Rouge last night against Kentucky. You see where they rank. I mean, second in Division I in defensive efficiency, 7 games with 10 or more steals. They have forced 25 turnovers twice this year. If you look at the stats all time, this is some of the best defense in Knoxville since the late 60s.
How impressive they were in that Arizona game, especially the first half. They were up 13. They just stymied Arizona early, which got this home crowd involved. Tonight, they're not so loud yet. They've not scored on that offensive end.
Kamwa gets a breather. Kennedy Chandler back in the game. Chandler has been so good this year for Tennessee. Number 1 in white, the 6-foot, 170-pound freshman point guard out of Memphis. Inside, Fulkerson, kick-out pass, sets up an open 3. Again, Tennessee, ice cold. Another one, 0 for 7 from the field for the Volunteers.
Exactly what Ole Miss wants. Tennessee shooting long shots. They did get a second opportunity there, but they've not pounded it inside to score around the rim.
You know, as you pointed out, when you're playing shorthanded the way they are, and you're not your leading scorer and Joyner, you want a game that, quite frankly, you want to muck it up a little bit. They're not going to win a game in the 70s or the 80s tonight. Ole Miss needs a low-scoring game, don't they?
Well, the best thing about Kermit Davis and the changing defenses, and he'll always say this, we can't be tricky soft, right? He's not trying to trick the game up and be soft about it. He's changing defense with a purpose. They've got to be aggressive, especially when you go on the road in this one.
Fade and fire off the mark that time by Fagan, the former Georgia Bulldog. Here come the Vols.
The tough part now, Mike, is when you're on the road and the home team is struggling, you've got to find a way to get some separation because you know Tennessee will make a run quickly.
Ziegler in the game, talented freshman for Tennessee, number 5 and white.
They will stay close to Powell because he's a shooter.
Shot clock under 5 for Fulkerson. Backing in. Tries to draw a foul. Can't do it. Shot clock violation. This is reaching a point of absurdity. Tennessee is now 0 for 8 from the field and now throwing another turnover. That's 5.
Well, here's such great defense. Brooks at 7 feet can guard Fulkerson inside, so there's no sense to double team. Brooks didn't leave his feet once. Fulkerson likes to get you off the floor so you can pump fake you and draw some contact.
Inside. And stolen away by Fulkerson.
Good help defense. Weak side.
Ziegler missed it from close range.
Fulkerson gave him a good screen, got the defense away. Ziegler missed a layup.
Fade fired. No. Tennessee has missed its first 10 shots.
Nobody's guarding Fagan in the corner.
There he is. And he connects. Nice spot, Sonny.
Well, I saw him come down the floor. They didn't find him. No communication by Tennessee. He was open under the basket. They didn't see him. I just followed him out. Wide open look.
And there's the first basket. Fulkerson quarantined down low and banks it home. Tennessee's on the board. Called on the Vols with 12 minutes to go and an 8-2 lead for Ole Miss.
Yeah, keep an eye on Ty Fagan. There's no defender on him, and there hadn't been as they made their progression down the court. If he gets his stroke going, he's got a 30% free throw shooter. And when you're a smaller guard and you come across to help,
they look Final Four caliber, and then other times when they don't shoot well and they don't rebound well, it's tough to win games.
And when you're playing good quality opponents, if you don't do the things you need to do well, you're going to get beat. Think of the losses. To Villanova, they only shot 33% from the field, and Villanova kind of blew them out. Then the next loss was Texas Tech, which was just a slugfest in Madison Square Garden. Neither team shot well. Tennessee shot 27% in that one. And then the last time out, their loss to Alabama. I mean, you think Villanova, Texas Tech, Alabama, all ranked teams, and if you don't play well against those, you're going to pay the price.
Last 5 games, Tennessee has averaged 40% from the field. When you go back to last year's team, that was the big mystery, right? I mean, they had 2 first-round draft picks. They had Fulkerson. They had some of the guys you see, including Victor Bailey Jr. on the floor right now, as Ole Miss gets a jumper from outside. That is number 1. That is Austin Crowley, the junior, at West Point, Mississippi. But offensively,
that's his first bucket in 5 games.
That's 5 games. Offensively, at times last year, Sonny, they were just an enigma. They couldn't get it going despite all the talent.
Yeah, and at times it seems to be the perimeter shooting, much like tonight. Ole Miss is going to sit in that zone and see if any of the Vols can hit one. That one, Victor Bailey Jr. missed. And he has not shot the ball well. He's not been confident with it.
There's Bailey on a steal. Misses on the layup. And contact as Fulkerson comes barreling in. And I think got whistled for the foul.
Confidence is a funny thing. If you're not shooting it well, you may not trust it. And there are times when you're a part of a good team that each individual tries to think they should shoot it because someone else has missed, right? It's my turn. We're not playing well. I can get us going. So far, it hasn't worked tonight.
I don't know if you ever played in a game like this. I mean, 2 points through the first nearly 9 minutes. But if you're Rick Barnes, what do you tell your team right now?
Well, you keep playing. They can create a lot of offense off their defense if they can get a steal. They just got us. Victor Bailey misses one point blank in the layup. But if you're Ole Miss, this is what you wanted. Half court, bloodbath, go back and forth, go at each other.
Rodriguez was firing on a three. Tennessee down by 9.
3-2 zone.
Lefty fires. Too strong on the three is Bailey. Tennessee now 1 for 14 overall, 0 for 6 from downtown.
And Vescovy only has one field goal attempt, right? Everybody else is taking their turn. Maybe they should get a pick. See if they can get Santi open for a shot. I mentioned Crowley earlier, Austin Crowley, who made the bucket in the corner. The scoreless the last 4 ball games is going to get minutes tonight. Power move.
Nice take there by Morrell.
But Morrell's athletic enough. Now in his sophomore season, I expect bigger things, a little more consistent, which is a lot of guys when they're young, they have struggle with consistency. But Morrell is a guy, I think, that can get some pretty good numbers in the SEC.
There's Vescovy.
Hit high off the glass.
And then an offensive foul the other way on Rodriguez.
Matthew Morrell, as I said, I think he's got huge upside. What would the coaches say? It's just a consistency thing, night in, night out. But he's terrific. Had the big ball game against Memphis, where he is from. He had 19 points in that game. Strong, physical, athletic, can do a lot of things. And we'll need to again tonight. This is Ole Miss building the lead, but this is going to be a long time for this game is over.
Yeah, when you hit on the key word for Morrell, it's consistency. He came in top-ranked recruit in program history, a top 50 recruit for that man, Kermit Davis. And with that comes a lot of high expectations. Last year it was really Devontae Shuler's team in so many ways, but this year other guys like Morrell are going to have to step up. And no Joyner tonight if you're just joining us. He did not make the trip for Ole Miss. There's the big man, all 7 feet of him. Plavcic playing more minutes and gets the bucket. Fagan, scissor dribble up top. Guarded by Powell. Tough take in traffic. No, tapped around and finally brought down by Justin Powell, the former Auburn Tiger.
Boy, they're just not finishing at the rim. Got to score that ball when you're that close.
Vescovy foul. There's a look at Kermit Davis. First year, comes in. SEC Coach of the Year, certainly got my vote. Leads him to the NCAA tournament. Everybody's thinking, okay, Ole Miss, rock and roll. Last couple of years, been a little bit of a struggle. This year, when he has his full complement of players, Ole Miss could be one of those sneaky good teams in a very loaded Southeastern Conference.
Obviously knows the league well. He was assistant for John Brady down at LSU. Was a terrific coach at Idaho and in Middle Tennessee State. Understand what it takes and what it needs. They had a tough year last year with all the COVID stuff. And then this year now they're fighting a few injuries and they didn't play their game with COVID. They've been off for 15 days. Have not had a game.
That's right. They were supposed to play the Florida Gators in the SEC opener. Meanwhile, Ole Miss, the one team in this game hitting from downtown. Another tray that time to make it 16-4. Volunteers still chilly from the perimeter. Vescovy.
And that's what you don't want if you're in a zone defense and your 7-footer ball, it does not get it. Brooks does not secure the rebound. Tennessee with another opportunity, and he'll keep firing away.
There we go. A 3 knocked down. That's Josiah Jordan James, and that is one of those guys that's going to be so valuable for Tennessee in a number of different ways. The one thing Rick Barnes told us today, he's got to be more consistent shooting the basketball. Does everything else well. Now a steal for the Vols. Vescovy, no. How many layups for Tennessee have gone by the wayside?
Boy, 2 steals, one by Bailey, then Vescovy, both misses as they try to score on the offensive end.
Coming up on the 7-minute lane.
Look at the lane, how wide open it is. It's for the cutters that they can use. Now, Robert Allen, who's now had knee surgery, he's out for Ole Miss. He was probably their best cutter, best passer, best screener, and a high IQ guy. So you take him out of the offense, you got to find different avenues.
It will be Tennessee basketball when we return. 16-7 our score, 7:03 to go. 18-7 is where we stand with 7:03 to go in the first half. If you're just joining us again, Ole Miss leading scorer Jarkel Joyner, who would have made his 97th career start tonight. He is out with a back injury, unavailable for the Rebels. Tennessee, the good news, full complement of players back after playing shorthanded in that tough road loss against Alabama, but a little bit of rust perhaps still on the chassis for the Volunteer Express so far today. Then you see, of course, Allen is out for the year with the knee surgery, Robert Allen, and then it's been some tough luck here for Kermit Davis and company.
It has been, but it gives another guy an opportunity. If you're a player, I mean, you feel bad for your teammate, but if you love to play, you get a chance to be on the court and get some minutes.
James had a great look from the corner.
Small lineup here.
That is why they're excited to have Justin Powell in Knoxville. The pride of Prospect, Kentucky, a suburb of Louisville, a career 42% three-point shooter. All of a sudden, Will Wade's team is playing elite defense. I mean, they are really tough to score on.
Well, they're long on the backside, and they're quick out front. Pinson transfer in there. He has quickness defensively. In Kentucky, without Wheeler last night, they looked a little bit like a different team, and then Ty Washington got cramped. So, good run by LSU at the end of the game. We had terrific ball games last night. The buzzer beater for A&M. Arkansas loses by 1. They get a chance to try to win that game, and they don't. Vanderbilt played outstanding on the road.
Are we buying stock in A&M right now? Buzz Williams seems to have maybe his best squad at College Station.
Yeah, they've got it going. They've got a lot of new pieces that are trying to find their way out. And Williams, a point guard, the transfer from Wyoming, is outstanding.
More suffocating defense by Tennessee, forces a shot clock violation. Now, Tennessee shooting 17% from the field, and still only down by 6 points.
Now, Rick Barnes always says, he always talks about defense and rebound and taking care of the basket. He said that no matter if you're at home or if you travel on the road, that's always a key ingredient. And if you're not shooting the ball well, have a chance to stay involved.
Sloppy turnover leads to Breakfield's breakaway basket, the transfer from Duke, originally out of Jackson, Mississippi.
You know, good-looking player at 16 against Elon. Another one of those guys, because he's young, consistency isn't always what he needs it to be.
Nice
Just assignment on the defensive end. Yeah, you can't give that. Can't give that up inside.
Back to a 6-point game. Baseline drive. Tennessee, quick hands. Vescovy from 3. And out of bounds to Ole Miss.
But Vescovy with active hands on the defensive end, touched it, and then Powell saved it. And you almost had a feeling that if Vescovy hits that one, that gets them going, but he missed again. 2 of 13 beyond the three-point line.
Vescovy's a guy now with the emergence of Kennedy Chandler. He can play some 2-guard, play off the ball some, and he's enjoyed kind of a respite from having to play the point all the time.
Well, the most steady of the Volunteer squad would be Vescovy, complete player. Become pretty solid on the defensive end. He's improved a bunch. Rick Barnes says he's in elite shape, conditioning-wise. Back to the man-to-man for Ole Miss.
Inside, block foul. Block foul, that'll go against Brooks.
Brooks' second personal foul. Simple roll to the bucket. Brooks is late getting across from the weak side. Here he comes. He's inside the arc. Not going to get the call. Late getting there. You should have seen that early. Solid first half, though, for Brooks on the defensive end.
Comwood to the free throw line. 6'8" junior out of Helsinki, Finland. His mother is Scottish and Finnish. His father hails from Cameroon. He really improved his game in the offseason. He competed with the Finnish national team in Japan in the month of July. Rick Barnes says he's an entirely different player now in this junior campaign.
Well, he's had some terrific numbers. Last year only averaged 2 points a game. This year 5 times in double figures. 2 of those games over 20 points. If the Finnish national team qualifies for the 2024 Olympics, he'll most likely be a part of it.
Ole Miss struggling to find a good-looking shot. That's a tough look. And left it short. Did Morrell. Vescovy.
Oh, elbow.
Used that free arm, didn't he? They're not going to get Ole Miss. And that's going to go against Ruffin. Kermit Davis, yeah. Take a timeout. Dell might take another look at it. We certainly will when we come back. Ole Miss up by 5. Peter Burns, Damian Fishback, Patrick Young, thank you so much. Mike Morgan, John Sunvold with you this Wednesday evening. Ole Miss on top of Tennessee, 18-13, the first conference game of the year for the Rebels, and they're looking at that last play, Sonny.
Yeah, well, we thought, again, it's good to have replay. I thought he caught him on the chin with the elbow right there, but it never gets up that high. It gets him in the shoulder. The official called the low hand defensively on Ruffin as he's pushing. But I thought initially maybe Vescovy's elbow got to the chin or the face area, and it's really just on the backside of the shoulder.
Ruled a common foul, so nothing more than what was originally called on the play. 5-point game with 3:54 to go. Thompson Bowling Arena. Drive and kick, good ball movement. Sets up Ziegler. James.
Again, the zone has been active to get against defenders. Or the shooters. They've been very active to get to the shooters. Every time, whether it's Powell or Ziegler, they catch it, there's a defender right in his face.
Sammy Hunter whistled for the push foul down low. We haven't had a ton of fouls in this first half. That's been good. Still, flow has been tough to come by in this first half. That'll help. Turnaround jumper by Comwood.
Such an improvement over a year ago. He can catch and release it, shoot threes now, facing up. Another offensive weapon for Rick Barnes.
Rebels 5 turnovers over the last 5 minutes. I would say Rick Barnes, in terms of player development, is one of the best coaches in the country.
Yeah, no doubt.
Shot defense short that time by White.
Another outstanding series defensively by Tennessee. There are not many avenues or lanes for this Ole Miss team to drive the ball.
Open look for Ziegler. Ole Miss only averages 11.5 turnovers per game. They've got 11 in this first half. 3 ball. Got it. Morrell from the corner.
Again, 10 points in this first half for Morrell. Good ball movement. Tennessee's going to get after you defensively. You got to make them move defensively. You've got to attack them.
Powell passed up the 3. Angles in down low to Vescovy. Oh, the blow by and the finish.
Little ball fake, little head fake. Defender goes, lays it in.
Under 2 minutes to go first half. Ole Miss up by 4.
If I'm Ole Miss, I'm trying to find Morrell again. However you can find him. He's been able to go up and over any of the Vols that have defended him.
Shot clock to 3. Last second shot by James White. Powell on the wing. Double team. James is open. James will finish. Drives the baseline and knows what to do with it.
Boy, the double team was laid and obviously no communication. I think they doubled him too far away from the basket, left his man wide open, and nobody helped.
Now the crowd gets involved, and it's something to cheer about. 2-point game. Deep three off the iron. 2-second differential, game clock to shot clock.
Back to the zone defense. Space out your shooters, see if you can penetrate the middle of that zone and draw them in, kick it out.
Ziegler milking clock between the rings. Vescovy double. Finds Powell on a 3. That would have been good if it went. It does not. Or did they say shot clock violation?
Yeah, I think they did.
They got it off. They will say shot clock violation. They'll say he did not get it off. So 0.8 seconds left for Ole Miss. Not much you can do here. Well, that's something you can do. He almost hit it from about 70 feet. Fewest points allowed by Ole Miss in the first half this season. 21-19. Rebels up by 2 as we send Matthew Morrell, the leading scorer of half number 1. 10 points for the Rebels. And John Sundvold, he's really the only player that got hot in that first half.
Solid on the offensive end. 4 of 6 from the field. 2 of 3 beyond the three-point stripe. He was aggressive. They didn't find him enough towards the end of that first half. Anytime you're struggling shooting as a team, you got to find the guys that are hot at some point.
I'm going to borrow Peter Burns' reference at the half. This was like when you were a kid playing the Nintendo and the game didn't start the way you wanted. You hit the power button, you restarted, pretend it didn't even happen. That's kind of what Tennessee would want to do in that first half. They started 0 for 10 from the field, 3 for 22 at one point. Ole Miss was sloppy with 11 turnovers. That's what they averaged for an entire game this season. Neither team shot the ball particularly well. Neither team could get much flow going. Yes, there was great defense, but let's be honest, John, the offense will likely be better in the second half.
Well, it's a battle, and it's a conference game. It doesn't matter what the score is. It's going to come down possession by possession. I expect both teams to play better in the second half offensively, especially a Tennessee team that's at home. They will love to get this crowd involved. Chandler now back on the court with 2 fouls. 1-3-1, zone defense.
Fulkerson goes to work right away.
Now, he not only could have taken an early shot, but he missed a cross, just a bounce pass. He could have hit his teammate.
That's where Nyseer Brooks, too, can really make an impact using that 7-foot frame. Just put his arms up high and altered shots. Here he is on the offensive end. Pops out, though.
Big on big. Trying to pound it inside. First half was a lot of jump shots.
Fulkerson on the attack. Missed the layup. Three on the other end. Knocked down by Brakefield.
Tough shot. Guy in his face. Remember, Ruffin, who started the game slowly, picked up 2 personal fouls. He's 1 of 5 from the field, so he hasn't shot the ball well either. Brakefield, guy in his face, knocked it right in.
Open 3 for Kamwa.
Both 4 stepping away from the rim. Good face-up. That's where his game has expanded so much better than it was a year before.
An entirely different player. Again, missing up close is Brooks.
Well, he's got to finish, though. If Ole Miss is going to win, you can't give opportunities away.
Brakefield boards it. Now racing in the front court. Ran out of real estate. It's not a walk unless he gets up with it.
Because his left heel might be in the lane. It could have been 3 seconds. I'm not
That's right.
looking at his heel.
He gets a timeout called with 18:06 to go. And Ole Miss up by 2. They upset number 5 seed Minnesota. That, of course, made Kermit Davis a very hot coaching commodity. Not long after that, Ole Miss makes the hire, and clearly they're awfully happy with what they've gotten in Oxford.
Well, if you could read lips, Mike, he was begging some of the guys. They've got to move. He was talking about you can't stand. Tennessee's good enough defensively. If you stand, it makes it easier for Tennessee. You got to be aggressive, and this is one of the guys that can do it inside.
That's Ty Fagan, the former Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah, Ty Fagan last year against Ole Miss was phenomenal when he was with Georgia. So when he went to the transfer portal, I think the Georgia coaches, or the Ole Miss coaches thought, well, my God, he's been great against us. Let's see if we get him away.
Tennessee on the response, a rare 3. Vescovy throws it right to Ole Miss out of the hands of Ruffin. Ruffin draws the foul, and he'll go to the free throw line for a pair.
Ruffin has not been able to finish at the rim, but you can see his speed and explosiveness. Not many could stay in front of him last season in high school or any of the all-star games. He's not been able to finish, though, when he gets there. Beautiful pass.
Inside off the inbounds for the easy deuce, Brakefield.
Rick Barnes will not be happy.
I'm not going to be happy about that either. Chandler just threw it out of bounds. This game will test the patience of both of these coaching staffs.
Well, it does when you're lead guard as a freshman. It really does. Coaches, they love the talent the guards have. They love the players, but it tests them because they make plays. Every time out as a point guard, the team's going to guard you different. It's going to be different. And when Rick Barnes talked about, they go to Colorado, and Colorado defends it one way, and then Chandler was so good out of Colorado, 27 points, and then they play Texas Tech. They do it a different way, and he's learning then. Then they play Arizona. That's different than Alabama's different. It's such a learning process, and when the coach trusts you with the ball, it's difficult. It's a tough role to play.
You saw Kennedy Chandler on the bench right after that last turnover. It's been a rough night for the scintillating freshman. No points and 2 turnovers. Tracking down the rebound, Placic.
I don't think a good shot by Morrell. Early in the shot clock, coming off a screen. You got a defender on you. You can get that anytime you want. Speed and quickness of Ziegler. We saw it in the matchup against Alabama. And Ruffin just trying to hang on.
Second foul on Ruffin. Ziegler's the guy they're really high on. Another one of those. Whenever we say point guard from New York, don't we have to throw in the adjective tough? Isn't that mandatory?
Yeah, they'd like you to think they are all the time.
It's actually the 3rd foul on Ruffin, so he'll have to spend some time next to Kermit Davis. Shot clock at 7 for the Vols. That's going to be stuck in traffic.
You got to get to the shooters quickly, and they've been able to do that.
That 3 hit the lower right-hand corner of the backboard.
Wide right is not good in any sport.
That's right. It's what no football team wants to hear out of their kicker, and you don't want to hear it out of your shooter on the hardwood. Tennessee, I mean, this reminds me of Tennessee in certain games last year, right? Where the offense just at times stagnated. They've been much better and much more consistent this year. Quick hands that time by Ziegler. Nice job with the steal. Tennessee's been terrific at that all year long.
Hey, Mike, the tough part when you decide to be a team that's going to shoot more threes, right? You're going to push it, you're going to take more threes. There are nights when you're not shooting well that you'd like to maybe put the threes back in your pocket for a while until someone gets on a roll. Maybe you get to the free throw line. Maybe you get to the rim for a layup. Something that gets your shooting going. Most good outside shooters love to get to the free throw line to get a free throw, just to get the confidence going, seeing the ball go through the net. But you don't if you're just shooting jump shots.
And that's what Tennessee's been doing. And this is nothing new for Ole Miss. They've been holding opponents to a very paltry 29% from behind the arc. That's a much more high percentage shot, a breakaway layup for the talented freshman guard Ziegler.
Good active hands by Ziegler. Curley has to take better care of the basketball.
Fagan on a step back three, and he hits it. I don't remember him hitting many of those at Georgia.
That was a slow step back.
Yes, it was. Methodical. At times, this game has been methodical. Ole Miss trying to pull off the upset.
Ziegler active hands on the defensive end. It was Brakefield he took that from. But you know what? Ole Miss has not relented this lead. The step back from the old Georgia player, Fagan. Ole Miss still up.
Now has 7 teams in the field. Oscar Sheboy, he's become a household name in a hurry. Everybody knows about Jabari Smith at Auburn. But don't lose sight of Walker Kessler. How about a triple-double with 11 blocks against LSU? If the last name sounds familiar, his father, Chad Kessler, played at Georgia in the 80s. Of course, his uncle, Alec Kessler, one of the all-time greats in Georgia history. But that young man transferred from North Carolina. Sonny, he's an entirely different player for Bruce Pearl.
And if you got to watch Auburn last night, Kessler not only dominates by shot blocking, he intimidates other ways, right? The shots change. Auburn is fast, they're physical, they're deep. They are, I think, the team to beat right now in this league.
I was going to say, I don't know if anybody's playing any better than the Auburn Tigers this season. Shot clock down to 3. Baseline drive at the buzzer. Another air ball, another shot clock violation.
So it was late in the shot clock when the ball was put on the floor to get to the rim, because you know Tennessee will help and rotate from the weak side. If they'd have given themselves a few more seconds, probably would have no open jump shot. You got to be aggressive and attack this Tennessee defense. Even though they're good, you still got to go at it.
How about this for Tennessee's offense? They average 14 free throws a game. They're playing an outmanned Ole Miss team. They've gone to the line twice tonight.
That's an amazing stat, but they've really settled. I think they've settled offensively. They've, settled for the jump shots, the long ones, 19 three-pointers taken. They've not been able to go off the dribble, especially a guy like Chandler. Chandler has not played well offensively. Last couple ball games, he's shooting last 4 games below 30%, and he's 0 of 3 tonight from the field.
Into the corner, sets up an open 3, another air ball. That's Rodriguez. Vescovy.
I think sometimes when you turn that corner, everybody's kind of picking up their dribble. Keep going. Good pass there, but when you turn the corner, almost each guy on both teams, Mike, has stopped and not gone to the rim.
Turnover on the Rebels. Numbers for Tennessee. Tennessee, and there's James on the finish.
Nice. Crowley wanted to foul, didn't get it. He's going to have to handle the basketball around the pesky Zika.
Tennessee's on a run. We're tied up. 3-ball. Fagan got it. A silencer from the corner.
Boy, has he been terrific tonight on the offensive end, shooting the ball.
Fagan now with 8, and the Rebels on a steal, and that'll be a trip foul, unintentional by James. And hopefully Rodriguez is okay.
He might have fallen right on that elbow.
Lost a shoe as well.
How about Ty Fagan? 4 of 5 from the field. He's hit all 3 of his three-point shots. Never known as a big three-point shooter. Last year, Georgia 27%. This year, he's 29%. We talked on the open mic about somebody stepping up, someone filling the role of the leading scorer, Jarkel Joyner, who hurt his back Tuesday. They didn't have one specific play, but bad enough that he couldn't make the trip to Tennessee.
And it's not just the scoring they missed from Joyner. I mean, he's a guy that's been really good with the basketball. We've talked so much about the turnovers on Ole Miss tonight. Well, Joyner's got the second best assist-to-turnover ratio in this conference, so he is sure-handed with the basketball. You take him out, and at times the play has been really choppy offensively for the Rebels.
It puts more pressure on a guy like Crowley now when they're running the point, and it's Morrell again with another 3.
How about that? Morrell, who had that career-high 19-point effort in the win against Memphis. By the way, it's somehow Ole Miss pulls off this upset, and it would be a pretty incredible upset, all things considered. It would extend the grand tally for that man's Ole Miss program to 5 consecutive wins against ranked opponents. That's a streak that goes back to last season, 4 in a row coming into this game.
Yeah, it's impressive. They beat last year when they beat Kentucky and Tennessee. And they played Missouri in Columbia. Missouri was 10th in the country. They beat them. And then, as you mentioned, they knock off Memphis this year. So here's a chance for 5 in a row.
It was Ole Miss last year that, they started off kind of slow and they really were not in the postseason discussion. Then all of a sudden they heated up in late February and they were on and off the Joe Lunardi bubble. They almost snuck into the NCAA tournament, which would have been a heck of a turnaround in the middle of the year. Strong take to the basket, and a nice one at that for Sammy Hunter, the 6'9" junior out of the Bahamas.
Smart play by Fulkerson, who tripped and fell down. Sammy Hunter's got a wide open jam down the middle. Fulke grabbed him as he was driving by. Smart play.
I don't think Fulkerson looks himself. Again, he's another young man that had to battle the illness that's been going around in college basketball. That is a no-no. A foul on a three-point shot for Morrell. He'll have 3 free throws. But Fulkerson has not been the typical factor that he is. He's 1 for 5, 3 points, and not a single rebound.
Yeah, not numbers that we're used to. This is just one of those games, and we're not in the arena, but perfect if you're the road team, right? The crowd is quiet. Not a lot of noise, not a lot of energy. Tennessee has not been able to get on any long run of an 8 to 10 point run yet this game. And slowly but surely, there's a couple guys, especially the guy at the free throw line, Morrell, that the confidence of this Ole Miss team keeps going up notch by notch.
Well, you get 3 of them.
That'll hurt your confidence. Yeah, that'll hurt your confidence.
You're not going to win the stuffed animal, but you get the consolation prize if you hit the last one, right?
And let's just be honest. This now you're nervous. You don't want to do the trifecta and miss all 3.
There we go. Deep breath. Relax. Knock it down. 6-point lead for Ole Miss.
Vescovi, Chandler, Powell, all great shooters. The zone keeps stretching out because you got to get to the shooters in a hurry.
Vescovy, pump fake, now will trigger the three. Cut iron, and out of bounds to Tennessee as Rodriguez could not corral it. Vols will have it, but Tennessee in the danger zone.
This is the time Georgia gets the monkey off the back. They're gonna do it. They're gonna play great, just like they did in the semifinal.
Well, I will say this, and I thought Stetson Bennett was vindicated with what he did in the semifinal. I was tired of hearing getting on Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett was not the reason why Georgia lost that game. Alabama scored on 5 straight possessions against that Harold and Georgia D. I think it'll be a closer game for sure. Can't wait till Monday night and see which SEC team will claim another national championship. There's a nice play out of the timeout, and there is John Fulkerson getting involved.
Yeah, beautiful drive, dribble into the zone defense by Kennedy Chandler. Ole Miss can't allow that to happen. You've got to shore up the gap, shore up your defense. If Chandler is able to drive it into the zone, they'll pay the price.
Inside it goes.
Right here. Ooh.
Brooks just line drived it right at the front rim. In transition, Volunteers. Down low, Fulkerson again in the trees.
But how quickly does Ole Miss get to the shooters?
Pretty darn quick.
Well, you think Vescovy has an open look or Powell, but they get there so fast. Great finish by Chandler. Wow, with the left.
And now we're starting to see the Fulkerson and Chandler that you and I expected to see tonight.
And here comes the crowd, and Ole Miss needs an answer.
Morrell.
Got away with a step.
Wakefield. Shot like a 2. Oh, goodness.
Well, they had nothing. Can't pick up the dribble out front. Good defense, but you've got to get into things at a hard pace. But watch what Kenny Chandler does. All left hand, picks it up with one hand, doesn't even get the right involved. Soft touch off the glass.
And at times, Kennedy Chandler has put on a clinic this year. 14 points, a career high, 8 assists, 5 rebounds in that win against North Carolina earlier this season. 5-star prospect, young man from Memphis, Tennessee. But he's been relatively quiet. So too has Fulkerson, the 2 players that missed the Alabama game. Alley-oop on the back door, and Kumwa just could not finish.
Boy, they had a set play, and they had it right at the rim.
Ole Miss has not had a good look at all the last few possessions.
Tough play. Ruffin's got to get back in there defensively. If you don't get back, odd numbers, attacking numbers, and against this zone, now Chandler lays it in.
Chandler heating up. So too is Tennessee. We're tied again at 38. Fagan.
Well, look how far the offense is pushed out.
Crowley with 1. And I mean, Tennessee has completely taken Ole Miss out of its offense.
Well, they keep backing up. Attack if you want to, but don't back up. Here's Chandler with an easy bucket. Again, numbers weren't back defensively by Ole Miss, and then on the offensive end, they're just, you can't play stepping backwards or you're in trouble.
And they've been settling for 30-foot shots at the buzzer, and that has not gone well. Chandler, yo-yo dribble. Now another turnover. Rebs in transition, and a nice finish by Fagan.
Good hands, good pass, good break. Ty Fagan, another good bucket.
Who does Tennessee turn to?
Chandler's been the guy that put the ball in his hands, let him make a play.
A little bit of a settle perhaps on the 3.
Yeah, he's been better off the bounce. He has settled, and his jump shot's it's not been good. That's what Ole Miss wants you to do.
Step back 2. Offensive rebound stripped into the hands of Powell, and he lost it. Hot potato picked up by the Rebels. Ruffin on a killer crossover. And they'll walk on Brakefield. And that'll bring us to a break. With 8 minutes to go, a 2-point lead for the Rebels.
Kennedy Chandler is alive and well at home as they get the ball back in this SEC conference game. Ball very well. They get beat off the dribble, gave up too many easy shots again last night. We saw that when they played Mississippi State. And then the bottom one, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Mississippi State's game was postponed tonight. They were supposed to be in Columbia, Missouri to play the Mizzou Tigers. That game was called off. So they'll sit and wait till their game Saturday. That's no fun as a player or a coach.
No, just ask Ole Miss, who, of course, this is their first conference game because their game against Florida got postponed. At times they looked a little bit rusty, but at times they've looked pretty good, like on that steal and like on this shot perhaps for Fagan. Ty Fagan, the former Bulldog, with a game-high 16.
Boy, Fagan runs the floor, but active hands. Chandler will try to go between two guys. They knock it away.
Tennessee has been out of sync offensively for much of this game. There's an open 3. That is an air. How many times have I used the word air ball tonight?
Wow, 4 of 22 from three-point line.
One thing that has been good tonight for Tennessee is the defense. Ole Miss has struggled to find any good look in the half court. Shot clock at 6. Again, it's going to be a late clock situation. And again, it's going to be Ty Fagan. 19 points for the former Bulldog.
And who do you go to? You go to the guys that are making shots. And Ty Fagan is the one that's simply on a roll for this Ole Miss squad.
This could be, they're still shooting 3, Sonny, and they're still not hitting.
Well, think of how bad the shooting percentage is. There's one guy on the floor that is 7 for 8 from the field. Ty Fagan.
Steal by Chandler. Boy, they need a spark. This will help. A 3-ball from the corner. Ziegler and a quick timeout. Five-point game with 6:20 to play. In Athens, either 5 for 5, 7 of 8 overall from the field, 19 points for Fagan. He is your story up to this point with 6:20 to play.
And Mike, 3 of those have been step back with guys in your face threes, right? It's not just been, I'm wide open, I can line this up, get my wind instruments settled and make sure I shoot it right. They've been tough and difficult.
Fagan's career high is 21. That came against FAMU. He's never had this many points in an SEC game. Tennessee trying to get some stops here. Fagan. Guarded by James. Backdoor cut. Sets up a wide open 3. Rims out. Follow no good. And a terrific, brilliant play by Brakefield to maintain possession, threw it off a volunteer.
Well, Jamin Brakefield came from the top of the key. Nobody blocked him out. He tried to get the putback. Great hustle. As he comes from the top on this shot, nobody puts a body on him. And he stays with it. And off balance, knocks it off the foot.
Alley-oop from Fagan, and that time Brooks does finish at the rim. Tennessee needs to get something clicking here quickly. Down 7.
And the defense continues to change for Ole Miss, back to man-to-man. Good defense by
Fulkerson. Takes it strong and had it blocked. Took it right on the 7-footer. And nice here, Brooks with the rejection.
Kermit Davis told us today that Brooks is one of the better defenders, and look at him get his body away from Fulkerson. Fulkerson should know better to turn his body into the shot blocker. Go into that body, don't let him get his arms extended.
3 years at Cincinnati, 2 at Miami for Brooks. The Cincinnati teams are all NCAA tournament teams. Fulkerson, offensive. Great job absorbing the contact by Brooks outside the restricted area.
Moves his feet, uses his length. What a defense possession by Brooks that time. Both he had shot block and then he took the charge. Not many big guys can move their feet, get in front of him. Fulke lowered the head, easy call for the official. Well, another turnover. Vescovy on defense, but you cannot make that pass.
Tennessee down 7 with 5:15 to go. 20 turnovers now, a season high in Ole Miss. They came in averaging just over 11. Drive and kick to Powell. Back out Ziegler on a deep three. I don't know, Sonny. I mean, at some point, you're 5 of 25 from behind the arc. That's a 10-second violation. 10-second violation. The Tennessee defense continues to be suffocating tonight.
Well, you've got to understand, though, the clock. Someone get it across the line. Don't wait on somebody else. A big mistake there gives Tennessee just another opportunity somehow to get their confidence going, but they keep shooting threes. They're not making threes. I know it's the modern game. I understand it. But what has happened to the pound the ball and jump up at 8 feet and shoot?
Yeah, I mean, that's James, who has struggled from 3 all year. That ball doesn't hit the rim. You're now 5 of 26 from 3.
It's exactly what Ole Miss wants you to do.
Absolutely. Tough shot. And the rebound fought for, picked up by the Vols.
Now you got to get back defensively. Tennessee has numbers.
Here comes the help. Here comes Fulke, and he throws it out of bounds. Does he get called for the foul as well? Oh, jeez. That was bad on bad. It was an offensive foul, and it was going to go out of bounds. Either way, it's a turnover.
And you can see the defender already standing there. Whether it's a jump stop or a side step, you can't run over somebody. Every time you think the Vols have a chance to close this gap, they make another mistake. He sees the guy standing there. Now, if they wouldn't have called anything, I mean, it's almost a turnover anyway. A lot of pressure on Crowley right now with the basketball. Take care of it. Ole Miss has turned it over too many times. Get a good look each time down. Oh, goodness.
Just an awful cross-court pass right to a Tennessee. Is this not one of the most bizarre games you've ever seen? I mean, I have no feel for what is going on in this game. And 21 turnovers on Tennessee. On Ole Miss. Tennessee can't buy a bucket. Vescovy fouled on a 3 and a chance for a 4-point play. The bizarre continues in Knoxville.
Well, you keep shooting it because you're supposed to. Vescovy finally gets one to go and the whistle. Chance for a 4-pointer when we come back.
When shooting teams in the SEC at 31%. Ty Fagan has never had a shooting performance like this in his college career, either at Georgia or at Ole Miss. A perfect 5 for 5 from 3. Ole Miss could be up 20 had they not been so carefree with the basketball. 22 turnovers. Tennessee's defense has kept them in it, but they keep shooting threes and missing. 6 for 27 from behind the arc. And then the moment you mention that, Vescovy hits a 3 as he's fouled, and a chance for a 4-point play here. We have entered the twilight zone in Knoxville, Tennessee. That'll be 4, and that'll be a 3-point game.
And remember the losses that Ole Miss had. They had leads in every one of those games. Up against Marquette, did not get the job done down the stretch. And then recently against Sanford, could not get it done down the stretch.
That is a turnover. Bottled up was Brakefield and threw it out of bounds.
That's bizarre. I don't know if it got knocked out of his hands.
It might have just slipped.
It wouldn't just pass it over there to the bench for Tennessee. A brand new ball game.
Ten on the shot clock. Chandler wants a screen. Gets one. Tries to throw it down low and instead turns it over.
Somewhere in between a lob pass and not, that ball was. It wasn't high enough to be a lob. Good active hands by Ole Miss. Another turnover by Tennessee.
And then a foul on James out on the perimeter. And that is 17 fouls on Tennessee, so Ole Miss will have a 1-and-1. We have not had many free throws in this game. Tennessee is 3 of 5 from the line. Ole Miss is 2 of 4 from the line. So when you look at that score, you might think, oh, this has been a good old-fashioned rock fight, bunch of fouls, overly physical. That hasn't been it. It's just been a ton of turnovers and missed three-pointers. First free throw is knocked down by Brakefield.
74% free throw shooter. He is 2 of 2 on his free throws tonight. Transfer
from Duke, former 5-star recruit by way of Jackson, Mississippi. And he'll split the freebies. 4-point game, 3 minutes to play.
3-guard lineup for Rick Barnes. All 3 can handle it, all 3 can shoot
it. Around the horn we go. Vescovy. Another shot that hits the backboard.
Yeah, wide right.
And then that one drops for James. Go figure. Josiah Jordan James, who's only shooting 21% from downtown, hits that one.
Griffin's got to be really good with the basketball.
Skip pass into the hands of Brakefield. Brakefield.
Shot clock.
Down to 3. Desperation off the glass. No. Loose ball picked up by the Vols. 2 minutes to play. 1-point game.
Good hustle by James. Good hustle by Rodriguez.
Vescovy fouled by Rodriguez. But that will not be enough to put Tennessee in the bonus.
Josiah James, again, leadership by guys that have stepped up, and even though it's a tough night shooting the ball, he answered that one there. Vescovy, who missed wide right. And again, when it misses everything and just hits the backboard, usually the offensive team gets it. It's kind of such a quick reaction.
Barnes thinking, how in the world are we going to win this game despite all the shooting woes, some of the turnovers. It's only 5 team fouls on Ole Miss, by the way. Ziegler up top. Ziegler, Jimmy crossover, takes it in the lane, and then he throws it away. Oh, goodness.
But he could have handed it to him, Mike. He could have literally handed it to him. Terrific move up front. The crossover dribble, watch this. I mean, he could simply just hand it to him. Wow. Too much pace on that guy.
Tennessee
Ole
pressure.
Miss has got to play the other direction. There they go. Look at the other direction. And always play the rim, Mike. When the team's trying to trap you and do things, play the rim. The most open area is usually the paint area.
Kermit Davis calling a time.
if they're trying to dial back, and how did they play down the stretch? They made their free throws. They made 14 of the last 16 down the stretch of that game. They defended well. They did not turn the ball over in the last couple minutes. Ole Miss has to do the same thing.
Well, partner, you talked about the great games we saw in the SEC last night, coming down to the wire, whether it was Kentucky LSU or Texas A&M Georgia. It's a different destination of getting there. This has not been the prettiest of games, but we got what everybody wants when you're tuning in, right? Close game, down to the wire, should be a fun finish.
Yeah, what happens in conference play, it's not always pretty, but who can get the win, and that separates. At the end of the season, there's going to be 4 or 5 games you either could have won or lost by 1 possession.
What a take and a blow-by by Ty Fagan.
What a game by Fagan.
Career high for Fagan. Tennessee. Is it another 3? It is. Vescovy from downtown. It's 51-all.
Veteran leadership. Vescovy with a couple of threes. James with a 3.
Timeout Rebels with 58.7 on the clock. He's got 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists to lead the way.
Yeah, you think about it, the 4-point play is when he made the shot and got the foul. Then the next time down, James makes a 3 off a miss by Vescovy on a second possession chance. And then the most recent was that Vescovy hits the 3. So the leadership of the veteran player that Rick Barnes always needs and always talks about. And they've delivered so far tonight. 58 seconds left in this one.
Under full court pressure, hounding the freshman Ruffin in the backcourt. Ruffin up top. Ruffin to the corner and Fagan. Did he step out of bounds? He did. Oh, my.
And I think Ruffin has a cramp in the calf. When he threw that pass, he came up off the floor, and you could just see the leg right there. We saw that last night's game. Ty Washington had cramps. Fagan caught that pass with his foot out of bounds.
If Fagan
should never happen.
No, it should never happen. You see this a lot these days. But if Fagan doesn't line up out of bounds, I mean, he's had the hot hands. Yeah, there, see the left foot. If he just lines up properly, he might have another decent look at a 3. That's the guy who you want to give it to. But another crucial mistake for Ole Miss, who has suffered the turnover bug tonight. 24 turnovers. Ruffin, with that cramp, will gingerly walk off the floor and onto the bench. Might not see him the rest of the way. Already without Jarkel Joyner. So who plays point now for Ole Miss, Morrell?
Or Crowley. Let's see who came in. Now, Tennessee's been able to penetrate and kick it out to shooters, and they finally made some shots. In the loss against Alabama, they put it in Ziegler's hand. They create a back screen for Victor Bailey to get a wide open shot, and see what kind of plays designed here. Ziegler, if he gets in, take a look. That's to be up high to get back screen to get in the corner. Good
Ziegler killed the dribble. Vescovy lost his footing. James pounces on it, and a jump ball, the arrow to Ole Miss. He wanted a timeout, did not get one from referee Tony Green.
The defense by Austin Crowley on Vescovy. Vescovy couldn't get a jump shot, then tried to turn the corner. Crowley stayed right with him, never allowed him, even though he was going to his left with his left hand. He is left-handed, could not get the shot. Great defense by Crowley down the stretch. Look at this. Stays with him. You fight it all the way through. Nothing there.
Ole Miss can play for the final shot. A turnover. They get it back. open three. Back iron. Rebound, James.
And know the clock. Why did he shoot it?
3 seconds.
Shot with 12 seconds.
Step back for the win. We're heading to overtime.
Partner, we deserve more of this. You're better. Kenny Chandler's better off the dribble.
They always talk about coaching. Coaching it'll give you gray hairs. It'll probably make you lose some. I think both these coaches tonight have probably lost a few and gained a few grays and probably gained a few trips to the anti-acid jar, because this has tested the patience of both these men, both these veteran coaches, so good at their profession, and usually two of the more well-coached teams that you'll find. But tonight has been an exercise in patience for Rick Barnes and Kermit Davis.
Okay, take a look as Ole Miss is going to bring the ball up. And I think it's Ziegler who forces a steal as he comes across. Watch this. Now he's going to get the steal, Ziegler, and then he throws it, and it looks like, Mike, that they got a chance. They've got plenty of time right here. And Rodriguez says, you know what? I'm just going to take the shot. I'm not sure why, unless he thought there was no time left. Unbelievable.
And he's 0 for 5 for the night. And he shot that right in front of Kermit Davis and the Ole Miss bench, who no doubt that bench was yelling, no! And he did it anyway.
You know the score, you know the time.
Fagan contested at the rim, can't finish. SoFi SEC basketball overtime on a Wednesday night. Mike Morgan, John Sunvold, Volunteers, and the Rebels. And a 15-footer is knocked down for Tennessee.
Big Euros. And why wouldn't it be here? No, it was coming. Okay.
Almost a steal by James. Brooks, kick out pass. 3 on the way is rattled home by Matthew Morrell.
All right, partner, we're gonna have a 5-minute shootout. Back and
clean
forth,
basketball. Yeah, no turnovers. Shootout. I'm signing up for it. Kamwa. To Vescovi. Back to Kamwa on the return. And a 3 knocked down by Ziegler. So we lost our score bug. It's 56-54. Tennessee on top. And we are now tied. A beautiful move by Brooks.
Partner, that's 4 straight possessions. We've got buckets. 2 by Tennessee, 2 by Ole Miss.
I don't think we had that in 2 hours.
Nope. Well, guys got to be tired. They really got to be tired. Got to pay attention. Don't be lazy with the ball like that. Mistake.
You see the score now.
You got to really focus because you're tired.
56 all, under 3 minutes to go here in overtime.
And if you're Ole Miss, you got a chance to win on the road. Oh, this is sloppy.
Oh, goodness. Fagan throws it away. Tennessee with numbers. Vescovi on a free. And Vescovi is heated up for Tennessee. He's got 15. Timeout, Ole Miss.
Got to understand it. And as we got into this overtime, both teams have had some buckets and good shots. Terrific last few minutes of basketball.
Ole Miss has been good shooting the basketball tonight. They're 11 for 21 from 3. When they don't turn it over, they're successful. So how do they stop turning it over against a relentless Tennessee D?
Well, they haven't been very sure of themselves with the guys out there. Okay, let's go back. You're missing Jarkel Joyner, who would have been a ball head. Ruffin is a guy who's now on the bench because he's got cramps in his leg. That's the ball head. You're forcing guys like Crowley to handle the ball more than they're used to.
And Crowley, sure enough, coughs it up. Scrum, Picked up by Ole Miss. Another scrum. Rugby action at midcourt. Jump ball. And the arrow goes to Tennessee.
Bodies from all angles.
Well, you mentioned it, partner. I mean, both these teams have to be thoroughly exhausted the way this game has been played.
Yeah, and it's, when you watch, who can just kind of grab a hold of what's going on, especially for Ole Miss? Who can just settle everybody down? I'm not sure they've got anybody on the floor that can, grab each other and say, hey, just slow it down a second.
As you mentioned, they desperately miss Jarkel Joyner's ball handling. Forget about the fact that he's the leading scorer. The ball handling is what they miss. They've got the most turnovers for Ole Miss in a game in 17 years.
Back to the matchup, zone defense, 3-2. Really, they got three guys out front to get to the shooters. They know Tennessee likes to shoot threes.
On the hunt for another one there, and a miss, and Fagan skies for the rebound.
Well, a big rebound by Fagan. He's done everything tonight for his team to get a chance to win.
Fagan in trouble. Down low to Brooks.
Oh, he's got his hand right in his back.
Brooks. Wow, that's the best look and move we've seen out of Nyseer Brooks all night.
And Tennessee was not going to double. And so Brooks stayed patient. Telconwall went down.
Under 90 seconds to play. It's a one-point game. Inside. Hoping it hard for Kamwa.
Did Ziegler bounce that ball between Brooks's legs? Sure did look like it. Take a look at this, Mike.
Oh, he did.
He did.
You know, there's a term in soccer. He megged him, as in nutmeg. You don't see that a ton. Larry Bird was the best I ever saw doing that. And the three-point play is complete. Kamwa now with 13 points. The lead is 4. Tennessee has only led this game 2 minutes and 12 seconds. But they've led it the right 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Well, now for Ole Miss, you got to be more aggressive on the offensive end. Doesn't have to be in a rush, but just be aggressive. Put pressure on a team that's pressuring you. Put pressure right back on them offensively. It's off the bench.
Crowley keeps dribbling 40 feet from the bucket. And now throws it away. They just desperately miss a point guard right now.
Yep. Tough position to be in.
Tennessee can milk a whole lot of clock here. 40 seconds and counting. 27th turnover of the night on the Rebels. On the drive. And high out the window, and it's Kennedy Chandler. Rebels need a bucket in the worst way, and that will help. A block foul on Tennessee, a trip to the free throw line upcoming for the Rebels.
Well, Tennessee has saved their best for the last few minutes of the game and for overtime. And the freshman Kennedy Chandler, we saw him do this with the left hand towards the end of regulation, now with the right hand against the zone defense. They spaced it out, they spread it out enough so he could get through the gap, and once he exploded, no chance on the back end to block.
A 1-and-1 for Ty Fagan, who has been the hero tonight for Ole Miss. 21 points on 8 of 10 from the floor. This is his first trip to the free throw line. He's only 42% on the year in limited free throws. Tennessee in this game in regulation shot just 34% from the field. In overtime, 5 for 6. Better late than never.
Yeah, no doubt. And think of this, Ole Miss, 3 or 4 in overtime, but they've got 3 turnovers in overtime.
Right.
Possession of the basketball, each possession is a key down the stretch on like Ziegler at 5'9", and his quickness, and put him on the guy bringing the ball before. It's so difficult if you don't have a great ball handler doing it. Ziegler has pestered Crowley down the stretch of this game. It's been tough.
Got to have it if you're Ole Miss. How about that? 42% on the year. Nothing but net on the first.
What a ball game Ty Fagan has played for Ole Miss.
He's been terrific. 23 points, a career high for Ty Fagan, the former Georgia Bulldog. Do you foul right away?
I do. I don't think you try for a steal, but I lengthen this game out.
There's the foul. Vescovy to the free throw line. He's one of the better ones on the Tennessee roster at 74%.
He doesn't miss down the stretch. He's 39 of 41 inside the 4-minute mark. So he's the guy that they wanted to get the basketball to. Smart move by the inbounder to get it to Vescovy right away.
Yeah, that's pretty clutch, to say the least, for a guy who's been good, not great at the free throw line this year. 39 of 41 in the final 4 minutes of a game for Santiago Vescovy.
It's more surprising that he shoots 74% for the year in the free throw. That's more surprising because he should be about an 85% free throw shooter.
Right, when you look at the form, you say that's 85%, right?
Yeah. A lot of times it's a concentration thing down the stretch. Guys lock in, get focused. Sometimes early in the game, they don't.
The focus is pretty good there. 2 for 2.
And sometimes you touch all the paint, but you got to tell yourself you switched it.
Fagan, step back 3. First one he's missed tonight. And that might be the final hope for Ole Miss. A bizarre game to say the least, but Tennessee will prevail. Hats off to Ole Miss. They fought their